On June 10th of last year, I lost my wife of 25 years to breast cancer. She was age 49, and she had been diagnosed at age 32 of HER2 positive breast cancer. Over the next 17 years, she went through a series of radiation, chemotherapy, treatments, clinical trials, and it seemed like over that 17-year time period, there was a new medical advance that could somehow prolong her life. Every 6 months, we went for x-rays and CT scans and met with new doctors, new oncologists. And then in 2004, she was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. At the time, the survival rate of metastatic breast cancer, stage 4, was 20% for over 2 years. The cancer had spread to her lymphatic system, her lungs, and her brain. But there was always prolonged hope through new procedures and new drugs. We went through chemotherapy, radiation, stereotactic radiosurgery, clinical trials for Genentech, La Roche, Macrogenics, Immunogen, GlaxoSmithKline, with drugs like Avastin, Herceptin, and pertuzumab. The healthcare providers that we experienced over this 17-year time period were nothing short of miraculous. We received excellent healthcare in Nashville. And what was interesting is my wife and I, Elaine Calloway McWilliams, had come from a family of healthcare providers. Her father was a general practitioner. Her 2 brothers are currently general practitioners. I have 2 sisters who are nurses, and I have a sister who's a nurse anesthetist. But we never really had the conversations about end of life. And although we received excellent health care, during the last month of her life, she was receiving care from 10 different doctors. An oncologist, radiation oncologist, otolaryngologist, a cardiologist, a neurologist, a plastic surgeon, a neurosurgeon, an immunologist, a neuro-ophthalmologist, and a general practitioner. Both of my in-laws and my wife went through hospice care. But my ignorance of palliative care and hospice care caused me to make some very quick decisions without adequate time for evaluation and reflection. The last 2 months of her life, we spent over 20 days in hospitals, but she was only in hospice for 3 days. I had the conversation with the physician 4 days before she died. And that's when I had to make the decision between a hospital and hospice. And there were 3 things that drove me to hospice care. One is the comfort and the care and the convenience of the services that were provided to her. When I look back on the 17-year history of her health issues, there were 4 lessons I learned. 1, my boys were ages 3 and 5 when she was diagnosed with cancer. You need to get professional help for communicating with children regarding chronic and progressive diseases. To this day, I'm still living with issues that started 17 years ago. I involved my faith-based partners and family members and friends in the discussion. They had much more experience with palliative care and hospice care than I did, and that provided some very beneficial advice. Our Living Will and Advanced Care Plan eliminated a lot of confusion and potential conflict among our family members. And lastly, and most importantly, my sons knew that my wife and I had discussed her end of life and her wishes.